Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks out there. Welcome to the channel. I am your host, and thank you so much for joining me on Future Friday. It's Future Friday is the end of the week where we get together and talk about all things transhumanist in our tabletop role-playing game community. Now, oftentimes we will reference the role-playing game Eclipse phase and the new one coming out, Altered Carbon, and of course the television show, as well as the Expanse and some other science fiction things related to this idea. But essentially, we're dedicated to talking about transhumanism. It's the idea of not just one type of speculative fiction where there's one element involved, whether it's like teleportation or immortality or what have you, AI systems, but really taking technology that has reached a point where it has become wish fulfillment, where time, energy, and resources have been coming down to zero in terms of effort in order to fulfill the wishes of society to move on to the development of higher levels of the Kardashev styled civilizations and such. So specifically today, if you've seen the title or you've seen the thumbnail, it says edit your mind by force or choice. And I worded it that way because I understand that it's really fun, especially in games like Cyberpunk, Shadowrun, and all the derivations thereof, to really want to get in the habit of run and gun, right? Player characters go shopping for lots of firearms. They get their morphs, their sleeves with heightened reflexes, and there's nothing wrong with playing it that way. If you want to play Eclipse phase or Altered Carbon with a lot of run and gunning, a la the Aliens movie or something. Everyone's got a lot of firepower, they're armored up, and they want to shoot a lot of things. That's fine. But I would behoove you to try other styles of play, because I feel when it comes to playing games where transhumanism is a theme, that you're not really playing the whole game, and it might end up becoming Monster of the Week and becoming a little dry and stale if you don't start doing engaging the game in other methods. And one of the methods in engaging the game is editing the mind. An Eclipse phase is called psychosurgery. In our science fiction genre, it's been done plenty of times. As a matter of fact, more often than not, the idea of the mind not belonging to the main protagonist, or the memories being having a narrator, having a protagonist, having the individual be unreliable in terms of their memories, their thoughts, their actions. Yeah, is a thing. Yeah. Now, Dead Man's getting a little bit ahead of me because I'm gonna pull some movies up, and very quickly, for those who really can't stick around for an hour, I'm going to give you a little summary up front in terms of what we're going to talk about. So, I thought I came up with, yeah, Dead Man, you and I, we're right there. For those who don't know, just below the video, while I am being a little snarky and a little funny with the comments, this show is simultaneously broadcast on the 3 platforms that are below in the video. Now, I thought we would talk about 10 different methods to incorporate storytelling in editing your mind, and then I came up with 10 different methods to, at the table, how we can actually incorporate it into the game. So, I know many of you have heard of movies like Memento, Total Recall, The Sixth Day, the Jason Bourne, the entire Jason Bourne series, the Hangover movies, are an example of this. Uh, there's even a movie coming out recently. If I believe it's comes out this weekend or maybe even next weekend, called Bloodshot. And there's also a comic book series based around that. Minority Report kind of fits into this. I'll tell you how that fits in. There's a movie even before the Jason Bourne series known as The Long Kiss Goodnight. Has some Samuel L. Jackson in that has to do with mind editing. And also we have Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. While not overtly science fiction, there is a science fiction element to that movie as well. And then there are just many things where in our own real life that you can pull from, whether it's trauma from seeing and witnessing things such as PTSD, and there are also physical traumas, head injuries and things that cause people to lose their minds. I believe we have a bot over at Twitch. Well, thank you, bot. I'm not sure if you have risen to the level of human sentience, but I appreciate you, bot, joining in. That's awesome. Wait, no, I'm just joking with you, dead man. Okay, so how? Yes, Total Recall, Jason Bourne, the thing. How do we? What is it about those storylines that makes those particular events entertaining? That why would we want to use them at the tabletop role playing for any purpose? Well, okay, so I have a generalization of categorizing them. All right, so let's go into The Hangover because it's kind of funny. The Hangover movies, for those who don't know, very general with the plot, are bunch of people, bunch of guys, bros get together. They got their little bromance going on, and they want to have some kind of celebration or whatever. And the concept is that they go out to party. This is at least the first movie. They go out to party in Las Vegas, and they wake up maybe the next day. And when they wake up, they have no recollection of what happened the day before, but around them are a bunch of randomized bits and baubles and pieces of clues, information. There's a tiger in the bathroom kind of thing. There's a chicken or a rooster walking around the hotel room. Someone's got like something in their pocket. Somebody else has got a black eye, and these kind of things. And while The Hangover, at least the first Hangover movie, was hilariously funny, as these guys wake up in the hotel suite and try to piece together, going backwards through their day, in very hilarious fashion, in a more serious science fiction agent kind of thing. This is a very common story trope, and taken with a deft hand, a game master could very easily incorporate this into a role-playing game. Yeah. Omen in the Discord says, I remember running a Shadowrun campaign similar to the Hangover film. Yeah, exactly. You yourself as the game master could leave a number of clues, whether it's monetary expenditures, travel, and things like that. Maybe even how the player characters are dressed, things around the room where they wake up. And of course, they don't have to wake up in a hotel room. They could wake up in a lab or a vehicle that happens to be destroyed and burning at the time, and they wake up. I mean, they could wake up in a jail cell or pull electrodes off of their skull, or they just ego cast or needle cast in from the Oort cloud or something, and after finally making it to some kind of habitat orbiting Saturn, they wake up in their new sleeves and they're just like, what the hell just happened? And they're like, I don't know. I know where we came from. And then throughout trying to piece what happened together, they may encounter NPCs that don't like them for some reason, that maybe previously they had an encounter with them and they don't remember what they said. You absolutely can throw in adversaries that are gunning after them because, well, they they disagreed strongly with firearms from some event that happened previously, the day or the week or years beforehand, and that kind of thing. Yeah, Omen's like we were just ordinary people in the Shadowrun world, but a dragon burned down a field of illegal narcotics whose fumes wafted through the city we were in. Wow. Everybody woke up with a hangover after that. So, pulling those ideas and tropes. Now, again, using a deft hand, leaving particular clues, whether they are digital files, a scrap of paper in someone's pocket, whether it's a key to a locker at the local airport was a very common spy espionage kind of thing. A thumb drive as well. Looking in the mirror and realizing what kind of morph they're in, whether it's someone they recognize or not. Maybe cut little cases of dysmorphia as well. So now, the second type of a second type of process is the Jason Bourne mind edit. Okay, the Jason Bourne mind edit, very similar to the Hangover, is you know what, I'm capable. I remember all my skills. I just don't remember my background at all. Now, the Hangover I kind of consider to be a reboot, which is basically like not the movie. I'm saying the idea. The reboot is, I only forget. I'm only forgetting a small portion of my history. In the Hangover movies, it was 24 hours. Maybe the player characters don't remember a particular. They went on a mission and they don't remember what happened. Maybe that mission was deleted from their own mind or something. So they're trying to piece that together. The Jason Bourne version is a complete mental wipe. A mental wipe of their personality, a mental wipe of their motivation. They wake up a brand new person, and the individual that they were previously may have lived or a completely different life. They may have had different quirks and features and desires and personality traits. Maybe previously they had some kind of strange addiction to chocolate or smoking or drumming their fingernails or something like that, or had to wear glasses, and now the person wakes up and they're like, I'm not interested in all those things, and I can see perfectly fine. What's wrong? And of course, piecing everything together, finding out about the NPCs who already have. The great thing about doing a memory loss is you can have NPCs who are already predisposed to a certain type of behavior towards the player characters, and you can make that really dynamic, whether it's a loved one or a family member or an ally that loves and or hates them, plus throw in a lot of like obligations and people they've offended, and the classic you owe me money, and they're like, I don't remember owing this person money, and it could happen over time. The third one is a movie called The Sixth Day. Not very good, but Arnold Schwarzenegger cloning, whatever. In our group, it would be very, very childish cloning, because we understand that the body and the mind are two separate things. But follow me on this. I can consider this kind of mind editing consider it called the construct. In other words, the player character thinks they're a fully realized individual going about their day, but really they're only moments old. They're only as old as the moment at which they wake up, meaning like they're only a few hours old. They've been spit out of a incubation tube or something. They wake up in bed, the proverbial wake up in the hotel room or the bed or a jail cell or something, and they're like, wow, I've been here for years and I've got to get back to my life. But really, the player characters are completely artificial. The memories are real, but they themselves are part of something artificial, because the real individual is out there doing a thing, doing their own thing, leading the PC's life, and they themselves are the copy. There's also a fourth one is called I'm calling it the fragment. That is the Total Recall movie scenario in which you have a life and you think it's normal and you have maybe a loved one and you're going about your job, but really similar to the construct, by force or choice, a complete hack job has been done to your mind to make you forget what you were previously, and now you are living a life that is completely different. Now, of course, you can do the innocuous life, right? Like, oh, I used to be a super soldier, but really the PC only remembers themselves being a construction worker or a bus driver or a chef or something like that, and then lo and behold, they get pulled into a lot of action. But even the player characters that are like firewall agents or some other type of criminal or scavenger or something like that, the idea of this is that when I say by force or choice, by force, maybe an enemy or an adversary or even the agency they work for says, okay, they've got too much information in their head, or we want to place them into a position of where they can infiltrate something. We're going to need to edit out all the information to get them in a position we want and then re-download further information. And why I call it the fragment is because the new character, and mind you, the player character create their character, is really just a fragment of the totality of the original individual, which it actually makes a pretty good adversary, especially if they meet themselves later on. And the player character is like, well, I remember having all these martial skills and gun skills and stuff, but the real person's like, yeah, you're just a little piece of me, so I don't know if you've pieced this together, but I'm you, but better. The only reason you're in this position is because we needed you to get behind enemy lines or join a rebel faction or, give me dirt on this criminal organization or what have you. Now that you've done that and you've gotten into this isolated community out in the outskirts of I don't know, Uranus or something like that, the real person needs to step in. So step aside, piecemeal. Now, fifth one, I'm calling it the glitch, and this is like the memory glitch. I suppose the movie I could think of here is Memento, and the memory glitch is that using mind editing, the player character. Going back to the fragment. When I say by force or choice could be that any of these events that we're talking about, the player character themselves, in the past they don't remember, could have chosen to edit their mind for this purpose, whether there's a specific type of information in their brain they need to forget, a mission they went on that they've agreed to edit that information out of their brains so that no one discovers what the heck's going on. Vince was, hey, long time no hear from. Hey, what's going on there? Also, it might be something, especially in Eclipse phase, there's the exigent virus, and that virus may pass from person to person, memory to memory, unless that part of their memory was hacked out by choice because of the dangers of having it spread in their own mind, spreading to their other stacks when they ego cast or dark cast or needle cast from one place to another. So those are other reasons why mind editing probably would be important into the game. The glitch, that's my fifth version. The glitch is like a person that plays their character that has an ongoing I hear you, V, ongoing element in their head that happens all the time. This may be a thing where the player character wakes up from resleeving and they always lose a piece of their mind. In Eclipse phase, they call it lack. Lack is like the dissonance between the memories in reality and what is actually going on around them. They've lost 3 weeks. They've lost a piece of their mindset, much like a real life equivalent would be someone who's a very strong or alcoholic that forgets the night before from drinking, much like you talked about in the beginning, the hangover, and this happens a lot, and they start to forget periods of time, and this may be a normal thing for this player character. Yep. That perfectly fine there, Vince. Now, so the first five I came up with were the reboot, the emergent, the construct, the fragment, and the glitch. Five more are the echo, the safety, the hidden, the repeat, and the mission. So the echo for the mind editing for me would be eternal sunshine of the spotless mind, which means that by you could the player character has either by force or choice had something edited out of their mind, but no matter, they're still going down this particular pathway, right? So much like an award-winning series called Identity Crisis, where most of the a collection of the B and C level superheroes were doing a mission with underneath the noses of the Justice League, and one of the characters, a magical character, erases the memory of the past events of the few hours from Batman, Bruce Wayne, to make him forget about a particular event. And then after erasing his mind, not a couple of moments later, he's standing there with everyone, and everyone's just like, doo doo doo, we didn't do anything. And Bruce Wayne's like looking at him like, something's weird about the way they're acting. I'm going to look into this, right? So, despite the fact that they like erased his mind completely of the past events, his mind is still like, something's odd. And so the echo may be a thing where the player character just can't help but go to a particular neighborhood to look for something, or they have a series of numbers in their head and they're trying to piece together those numbers as well. Yeah, Vince is like, well, you could vastly improve work life balance with mind editing. Just erase your work during your free time, and also the other way around, productive at work, relaxed at home. Yeah, especially if you were able to split your mind into two, and so you have your work mind and your relaxed mind, and then like trade off on either one of them. That of course we've seen that done with like like comedies and stuff, but absolutely erase a terrible day at work and then go back and do it all over again. Yeah, but the echo is this is far more is not necessarily a scientifically related thing. This would be more like the player character that goes into a morph, and maybe they get a piece or an echo of what was who or what was in the morph before they got there. Yep, Dead Man's like, yeah, the multiple personalities mod in Eclipse phase, absolutely. As a matter of fact, a player character whose character has multiple personality, mind you, the multiple personality doesn't need to be a psychological thing. It could be a specific, much like what's something in current pop culture, Winter Soldier. Captain America's best friend Bucky, Winter Soldier, would in many ways have a multiple personality. One personality is on mission, really just a robot, no personality at all. And then the other personality remembers the past and is just like, I can't believe I'm going on these missions. Yes, a player character could actually be two different characters, one of those performing missions, the other one waking up and going like, what the hell happened this time? And they're getting echoes of the past, whether they're images, numbers, locations, desires, things like that. The seventh one is safety. Safety, I'm relating to safety and going to relate to PTSD. No disrespect to individuals who are suffering from said thing. We're talking about tabletop role-playing games, fantasy, not reality. But the human brain is a pretty powerful thing and will try to protect itself at all costs. Some of those by purposefully deleting information for our own safety, whether it's seeing when we perform activities that are tantamount to destroying our moral and or ethical boundaries. And so what the murder, killing, death, destruction of torture, and so many other things. So maybe our brain itself is saving ourselves from recalling bits and pieces of information. Now, would be a little bit more intense in terms of a role playing game. This might not even be something that is done by a machine. Maybe the person who wakes up in the player character wakes up in the body is having these images and flashes and emotional responses to things that they are uncomfortable with, even though they have no context to what it is. Much like an individual who hears or smells something and maybe their heart starts to palpitate, they start getting panic attacks, or they hear a certain type of music and it's triggering something, but they have no memory of what it is that's triggering them. But those are, again, following the hangover line idea. This might not be clues as physical clues, like a parking ticket or an empty shell casing. This might be more emotional. You see a family gathering together in a park, and you start to have a panic attack, and it's like, why am I having a panic attack? And then you follow that down the line. Very mature gaming if you use something like that. But again, the game lends itself to going into something that version. Vincent says, reminds me of the new movie with Vin Diesel, Bloodshot. Already got there, man. Yeah. Where the main character gets his memory modified to kill a specific person and then gets mind wiped for each new mission. That's my last one. Thief. Anyway, Deadman says, and Vin Diesel has stated that he'd be willing to come back for an antagonist role in the sequel. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool too. Now, we're gonna get the Bloodshot. The hidden idea is the idea similar to the movie The Long Kiss Goodnight, and that is Jason Bourne kind of fits into this as well. But the hidden is the idea that once the PC wakes up their memories, that it triggers something where all the antagonists will come after them for the knowledge they have in their head. So the reason why the PC wakes up without memories is because they need to remain hidden from yeah, they need to remain hidden from whatever is going on. For example, maybe their memories, maybe there's a way for memories to be tracked, or maybe the player characters has ego cast re-sleeved into, they're in another sleeve that no one recognizes. So combining a new sleeve, new behavior, because they don't have any memories of their old behaviors, and in a new location, they're not triggering something that's very important. Say maybe a major corporation wants to hunt them down, or once it used to be their allies from some kind of like black ops mercenary group, but now this player character has been hidden away. But the minute their mind wakes up, maybe it triggers something, or they do something that triggers something, or maybe there's even some kind of muscle memory where they make the equivalent of a far future phone call or text message without even realizing it. They're just like 873Q ampersand. Why? I wonder what that is. Click. Hello, and then all they hear is hear the modem sound like on the other line or something, and they're like, that's odd. Hang up, go back to cooking food and for their family that they now have, and then all of a sudden all the enemies start coming out of the woodworks like, I thought they were dead. We need to go assassinate this person in their house, while they have an apron on around their waist while they're making cookies or something, right? So the hidden is similar to all the other mind editing, but it's many times this would be done by choice. Like, yeah, I need to cover, in order for me to live, I need to go into witness protection. And oh, by the way, erase this stuff out of my mind, because if I remember it, chances are they're going to know that I remember it, right? Yeah, Vince says, I wanted to do something like Jason Bourne as an RPG for a long time. Just finding out who you are and why you are skilled. Exactly. Now, I came up with 10 ways to apply this in tabletop games, so we're going to get to that. Two more. Number 8. Number 9 is the repeat. I pulled a Minority Report in this one. There are other movies that do this as well. The Repeat, and this, mind you, this the Repeat's going to blend with The Mission, which is like the Bloodshot movie. But the Repeat is the idea that the player character keeps getting images and repeating the same thing over and over again. And no matter how many drugs and how much alcohol, how much sleep, how many opioids they scarf down to try to erase it out of their head, they keep getting the same images over and over again. Now we've seen this happen in fantasy gaming too, where an oracle receives an image or someone has a dream that gives them a clue to something. In many ways, this kind of counts to that. Also, the repeat could be from their old memories into their new, or to basically pounding in their head. Could you please investigate this thing? You're not gonna get rest unless you finish the equation that's going on in your head. And so, also, the repeat might be something where the player character not only needs to do the thing, but is forced to repeat an action over and over again for some external source. Yeah, yeah. Vince says it is hard to pull off though. In Astrocitus, his my default used to be that everyone has amnesia, but it turns out most players don't really enjoy that. They have nothing to work with aside from confusion. It can be very difficult to implement, which is why we're going to go over 10 ways to implement it. Deadman says there's also the game 13. Yep. I remember. I think I still might even still have that as a PC game. Anyway, there's also the game 13 where you play as an amnesiac who is trying to save the world from terrorists when he's really one of the terrorists. Oh, you gave it away. No, but in many ways, yeah, right. A player character has amnesia. They've got guns. They're like, evil people, terrorists. I must be hunting them. Let me go after them. And then all of a sudden, the adversaries are like, "Why are you shooting at us? You're on our side." And you're like, "What? I don't remember that." And again, I think the cool thing about using a mind edit is that you can really play with the NPCs who are already predisposed to look at them a particular way. A very seductive, significant other who's very attractive that wants to bed the PC, or I don't know, usually multiple versions of those. The one who's asking for their money back. The ally who's like, I don't want to see you ever again. It's the family member that's like, what's wrong with you? Every time I see you, you act like you don't know me. Those kind of things. And so, and then putting together all of the clues could be pretty fun if your player characters definitely have buy-in. I'm going to go over two things that I think are going to be very unpopular, and then we'll go into 10 ways in which you can, at the table, incorporate this into your game. Omen says, if you want to take something a little more horrifying, there's the vanishing idea, wherein weird monsters or aliens steal people in your life and attempt to take away your memories of them as well. Yeah, there was another movie that was terrible called, not The Disappearing, The Forgotten or something, Julianne Moore. Anyway, we've seen this also done on really bad noir-styled films where someone's on a train or an airplane. I believe there was one on an airplane where a woman's there with her child, and then she goes back to her seat and the child's missing, and it's like, where's my child? And everyone's like, there wasn't a child on the plane. I don't know what you're talking about. Same thing done on a train, right? I don't know what you're talking about. There's also the more thriller dramas where the person wakes up from a coma, and usually a woman wakes up from a coma. A really sketchy guy is like, I'm your husband. You're gonna come home with me, and here's some pictures of us being happy together. And the person's like, I guess. And then come to find out this person's very abusive or manipulative, or most of the people around them are trying to get some kind of like codes out of their heads because they're extremely rich, or something of that nature. There was even a bottle show with Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart playing a super spy who is suffering from Alzheimer's and has a live-in nursemaid, and the live-in nursemaid starts acting a little bit sketchy, and come to find out that he's a spy. He's starting to have more and more extreme bouts of Alzheimer's, but it's also being propagated by the nursemaid, who is an enemy spy out to kill him, but they can't kill him because he has information that can destroy the life of this nefarious politician. And in order to, he has the codes to get the blackmail information from leaking out. And so, yeah. Yeah, Vince is like, yeah, you were unusually well prepared, DBJ. You upped your game. Yeah, I wrote some stuff down for like in like 5 minutes or whatever. So I'm not that prepared. Yeah. Yep. Omen says, you to contribute to your badassery, the target could be a trained soldier's child. Yep. Yep. And they could have those memories inside of them as well, right? Okay. So let's go. Let me do the two things that are going to make everyone who even possibly wanted to take a look at this video tune out. Two different things. Follow me on this, okay? The first one is buy-in. I'm sorry to tell you, game masters, dungeon masters, storytellers, flame tenders out there, whatever, people running games, do not use mind editing unless your player, at least one or more players, have a buy-in. Only use it with those players who are who have bought into this concept. Do not spring it on them. Don't do the, okay, guys, next game you're going to wake up and you have no memory thing. Not at all. Yeah, I did. I've got my notes right here, right here. Vince. Yeah. So. Plus I'm a movie buff, so coming up with movies is pretty simple thing. Movies such as Memento, Total Recall, The Sixth Day, Jason Bourne series, the Hangover movies, Bloodshot that's recently come out, Minority Report, The Long Kiss Goodnight, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Going back to a little bit to the Bloodshot idea, and there was another movie called Hardcore Henry. The idea of those things is the mission in which the player character wakes up thinking that every part of their memories, both the physical act of their memories and the emotional tension in it, I need to kill this individual to escape this thing and get revenge or something, is implanted by an external force using and abusing the player character. So the player character has a memory of them having a great life with a loved one. The loved one is gunned down. They kneel over the body doing the silent screaming, no! They wake up as a super soldier and they go, who killed my loved one? Oh, that person? I'm going to hunt them down and kill them. They go out, they blow that person away, they get deactivated, they go back to their chamber, and then again, they go through the memories of someone killing their loved one. No! And they wake up, and guess what? The image of the person that did it keeps changing, right? So the corporation keeps changing who it is. Now, hopefully I'm not giving away, I haven't seen the movie Bloodshot. I don't know if it's any good or not, and I hope I'm not giving a huge plot point away about it, because this concept has been used before in many ways, right? It's heck, the Hardcore Henry movie, which is all filmed in first person, like a video game, has a similar message in it, where a number of failed experiments are used, in which the person's trying to take revenge on the person that killed their loved one. But it's really just digital information. It's not real at all. Okay, and so that's the mission. Two things that are going to get you guys pissed off. One is buy-in. I hear you story people out there are like, I would really like to run this game, and there's a good chance, there may be actually an excellent chance that none of your players are like, hell no, I made up my character. I don't want you messing with my character's memories. End of story. Done. Don't do it. Okay. And oftentimes in games, players and their backstories tend to be sacrosanct. I'm here to tell you that if you choose to play Eclipse Phase or Altered Carbon and some of these other games that are transhumanist, post-human related, you're only playing half the game. And yes, you can do it. Thank you, Dead Man. Released today. Okay, cool. This Friday. Sometimes they do come out on Thursday nights as well. The idea that your player character's background and backstory isn't real, or at least isn't the way they remember it, is a thing very hard to let go of, right? It's hard to let go of the fact that you're like, oh, my character was a badass trained by in this mercenary group, and I like to run and gun, and come to find out, and the game master's like, nope, that was implanted in your head about 3 hours ago. Really, you were a nobody, and they inserted you into a different combat morph and have been recycling the same background of a highly trained badass over and over again, and you're just a poor schlub that got pulled into this thing, right? So it can be a little bit difficult for a player character to swallow the idea that, yeah, my backstory really isn't mine. So, yeah, oh yeah, I remember. Yep, Bloodshot, a fictional superhero. It is the first attempt to create the Valiant universe, the VCU, Valiant Comics universe, and this is the first movie in that attempt, along with other characters like Exo Man of War and some other characters. There's a ton of them in there. So the here are I'm sorry. Here's the one thing that's going to piss you off, and then I will go into the other 10 to see if there's anybody left. How do you disseminate experience points when you have a game in which remembering the mission in the first place may not be a thing, right? Here's what I'm about to tell you. Game masters, players who think that it'd be funny or it's not realistic for your character to gain experience points when you don't even remember the mission, I'm going to tell you to don't be that asshole. Game masters, don't do that. Experience points to me, and I almost never give out information on something you should or shouldn't do. I'm telling you should do it because you're going to ruin the experience of your players if they themselves have bought into your world and decided, I'm going to let you modify the psychology of my own player character. I'm going to let you edit their memories the way you want to tell your story. And at the end of it, you don't give them the reward for engaging in your story. You're probably an a-hole. I get it. I get the fact that if you go onto the empty space station and everyone gets infected or killed, and then everyone wakes up from their backup sleeves and they realize that they haven't gone on the mission yet, and then they go on the mission and the whole thing cycles over and over again, I get it. But follow me on this. Experience points don't belong to the character. Experience points are the reward that goes to the player. The player is the one who has decided to bring their A game and enjoy the setting that you created. Their reward for that are experience, and whatever experience it is in the game, whether it's increased attribute points or skills or equipment and stuff like that. Does it make sense that a backup from 15 years ago is suddenly just as good or better than the 15-year-older PC that just died in a mission, and now that player character is going on is being a detective trying to find his own murder? No, it doesn't make sense. I'm here to tell you that it's better to not have it make sense and reward the players for enacting in your world than it is to be an asshole and tell them you get nothing because your character doesn't remember it. Okay? That's a narrative aspect of the game. That's narration. Your character doesn't remember. You don't need a gaming statistic for that. You can apply a gaming statistic such as sanity loss and some kind of dissonance or discordian effect in the game, whether it's you're hacking Call of Cthulhu or you're using the sanity rules that are presented in Altered Carbon or Eclipse phase, where those rules are already integrated into it. So having those losses, yeah, absolutely. But if the player characters are, if you want your players to be in your world, you reward them with experience points. And so those experience points should travel with the player, not the character. All right, now that everyone's pissed off about me telling them what to do, and mind you, I'm just a talking head. You can give me a middle finger. Oh, by the way, while you're cussing me out and flaming me later on or giving me the middle finger, please go over to if you but you support long-term content, please go over to Twitch, maybe follow me there. Like, share, subscribe, spread this channel. I'd love to spread to other people, especially if you're like, this dude sucks. I'm gonna tell everybody. Please do so. And also, if you want to join in the Discord, this show is broadcast on Twitch, YouTube, and the audio over at Fantasy Grounds College Discord server. So if you join Fantasy Grounds College, you can join the Discord server over on the left, slide down past all the administrative offices and the classrooms, past the hallways and the quad, and down there in the boiler room is where the cool kids are hanging out, smoking the doobie, which is our tabletop RPG games. Okay. All right. So 10 ways in which to incorporate this at the table. I have them listed as the first 5 would be the self, the round robin, the rememberer, the group pie, and the GM passes notes. Okay, so the self. The self is basically the player character knows. You come to the table and you say, hey, listen, I got this idea where my character loses their memories. I want to play a character who's got some kind of weird split personality, memory loss or something. You come to the table and you say, I know that I'm not supposed to remember these things, but I'm going to role play my character as if they have no memory of what just transpired. Great. You can absolutely do that, no problems. The second one is the round robin. The round robin requires a buy-in with the players, and usually this should start at a session 0. Round robin would be, oh, Omen, all right, have a good evening. I see you gotta run to work. Have a great one. See ya. Now, the round robin would work like this. Either everyone at the table chooses something in everyone else's background that is true, and none of those individuals know what's going on. So, in other words, you have 3 people at the table. That means out of those 3, and the game master, so that, let's say, make that 4. So each player is facing 3 other people. Each of them picks one thing. If it's like such a show off 5 minutes. Yeah, you know me. I pull stuff out of my ass all the time. It's not really a big deal. I did it because when I was on the shitter. I do my best writing when I'm on the shitter. Sometimes you got to pinch a loaf when you're a professional. So the in the round robin, that means the 3 people that are there each will have 3 elements in their background that they don't know, but is created by the other people at the table. So that's a round robin. Basically, someone else makes up your memory loss and what's true about yourself. The rememberer. Now, the rememberer is the individual where you play in the game, and then through prompts from your game master or maybe other players, someone else is the individual that tells you what's true as you come across it. So it's not even just a detail. A rememberer is like, wasn't I here before? And then either the game master or the other players go, yeah, you were here before, and then they spout out a number of, almost like doing a flashback scene, right? Where now this is very intricate, where you can do a flashback scene of, I've never been to this park. And then at that moment, nothing's been written down. We flash back to the moment where you were there, and then everyone there role plays people that you interacted with while you were at the park. Vince says me when I go for a walk or trying to sleep. That was me, because I woke up in the middle of the night and was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about with the editing your mind thing. So I was sitting there writing some notes down. So the rememberer is basically don't you're not preloading your information. You're basically doing you're playing a game where you have a series of flashback scenes and you're flashing back to the moment in which you don't know what happened. So the other people at the table role play like various NPCs of little consequence in your memory flashback. The group pie. Now, the group pie is think of this as a pizza pie or a baked pie. I love Apple. A baked pie in which everyone takes a slice. So the idea here is above board. There's no hidden secrets at all. We all sit down to discuss what memories we don't have above board. And this, again, is role playing, where someone says, well, I want to be a badass soldier. And then somebody else says, all right, your character was a badass soldier, but your memories are a digital version of a real soldier who is running for their life and you can't find them. So you're just a copy of this person and there's adversaries after you, but the real person is hiding in the shadows and you are a decoy to keep them safe. And the player character's like, oh, I didn't think about that, but okay, all right, that's cool. And now how about you, other player character that's sitting at the table with me? What about my background is slightly different? And then you just talk about that. It's sharing the pie, right? Above board, as opposed to writing something down and then keeping it hidden. There's also the GM passing notes, right? The GM pass note, where the GM, you can do this in a digital fashion. You can do this on Zoom and other digital virtual tabletops and other methods online. You can do this in at the table, where the GM basically has a bunch of like 3x5 cards or pieces of ripped paper, and they write notes down that they pass it to each individual person as they come across things to air quotes remind them of an event that they didn't have information. Like, I'm going to go meet my black market person to get my guns, and the GM writes down, you had a relationship with this person's sibling in a very dynamic relationship that didn't end well or something, slipping the note. And then the player character, okay. And then when everyone goes to meet the person in the black market to get the guns, the one player character is like, I'm going to sit in the background. And they're like kind of giving each other the evil eye. And the players are like, what's wrong with you? You're not going to say hello? You're acting kind of fishy. And it's like, yeah, I've got history with this person. And mind you, this isn't preloaded. This is the Game Master literally sliding this person 30 seconds earlier. You had a relationship with their sibling and they're pissed off. Slide, Now, 5 more ways to incorporate this at the table mind editing into your game. Okay, there's the random, there is the happenstance, there's the one and done, there's the suicide squad, and there's the build as you go. So the random would be creating a random chart either by yourself or as a group, and then randomly rolling the editing of memories for every player character, right? Much similar in effect to, say, rolling like a life path for your character, except only picking and choosing elements that affect them. Like, for example, when the player wakes up after ego casting or needle casting, they wake up in a new morph and they're like, how long have I been down? And the person's like, you've been down for 3 years and 5 weeks and so many hours. Like, well, 3 years. What happened between now and then? And so you have a random table, and everyone just rolls on that random table to find out what exactly happened over those 3 years since I've been down, or what was I doing for the last 3 years before you spun me up from an old backup or something like that. Happenstance. Happenstance would be, how do I say this? Happenstance is like, as you're playing the game, and this is very similar to build as you go. Happenstance would be choosing a moment in the game or various moments in the game to represent the memory loss or edit. So player characters come across black market NPC. You as a player character, or even the game master, you decide at the very moment that I remember this person from my past, but I don't know why. And you insert that into the game. Or the game master has the black market person look at one PC and goes, yeah, and you and I are going to have a talk. I don't like the way you broke up with my sibling, and I'm not having it. And, you know, they're still at home crying and they're hurt, and I can't believe you did what you did. And literally just insert that line into the game, and the player character's like, what the hell are you talking about? And then it's happenstance. A player, any random player character can look at another player character and go, hey, haha, remember when we partied with so and so? You don't remember that? And they're like, I don't. My character doesn't party at all. I don't drink and smoke and party. I really don't even have a good sense of humor. And they're like, yeah, you do. And one of the player characters could kind of insert this thing. So it's just happenstance. It's a role playing. It is an improv role playing trigger to just randomly pick different moments and periods of time in throughout the story to go, hey, don't you remember where we were driving in this hovercraft through the trenches on Mars? You know, hey, that was the place where we hung out at, and there's some graffiti that we left there. You know, on the I don't know, 5 mile deep trench or something on Mars, and the player character's like, I don't remember doing that. And so there's the one and done, and the one and done is basically all the stuff we talked about, but it's simply just a one and done. It's like inserting a one shot into a long ongoing campaign. So if the player characters are all like firewall agents and they're running around and they're shooting, you know, they're stopping black holes and von Neumann nanotech and exigent viruses, but the game master, one of the players, is like, you know what would be really cool if we just woke up on a derelict ship for no reason and we have to figure out something out going on. And they're like, you know, that would be really cool. And then we could just, it's like a detective thing, but maybe there's things trying to hunt us down and we're trying to find information. How many times have we seen television shows and our movies do that, where the crew wakes up out of stasis and they don't know what the hell's going on, and we follow behind them as they piece together events. There's a show on YouTube called Origin that's like that. There was a not a very good movie called I can't remember it. Pandemonium, I believe was the name of it. Was a movie as well. But we've seen that happen. You wake up out of stasis. You're trying to recover from stasis. You don't remember what's going on. It's going to take you a while till you get, I don't know, vomit up the blue goo that's in your lungs and get some orange juice or something like that, and slip out of your, you know, white overalls or something, right? It's that kind of thing. Two more. There's the Suicide Squad and Build As You Go. The Suicide Squad is the idea that you are specifically, and this goes in line with the one and done, the one shot. You are specifically playing this game knowing that your player characters will die. And you are going on a mission. You know you're going to die. You've already decided ahead of time this is going to happen, much like playing in like Call of Cthulhu or something. And your characters are going on a suicide mission. Now the characters may not know they're going to die. The players, all of us above Pandorum. Thank you very much, Tesla. It is Pandorum. It was an all right movie. But the idea of waking up and not knowing what's going on, and of course there's always the excuse of like maybe you dark cast or needle cast or ego cast and something went wrong. There's you were on a 500-year mission in stasis and you woke up in the middle of stasis, and everyone knows you don't wake somebody up randomly in the middle of stasis because you get memory loss, so on and so forth, right? So with the Suicide Squad, it's very easy to do this in like Eclipse phase. You can get away with it with Altered Carbon because Altered Carbon does have multiple planets in it outside of our own solar system. In Eclipse phase, there are multiple planets and habitats, far too many to count, probably numbering well above the tens of thousands, probably in the hundreds of thousands. So very easy to find some habitat where the player characters are like, all right, we are all going to copy ourselves, download ourselves, sleeved go into sleeves and go on a mission knowing that our backups are still back where they are, right? Now, you can decide whether the characters know this is going to happen. I think it's better if the characters do not know it's happening, but the players do know that the game master's like, guys, you're going to run a suicide mission. This is going to be killer. It's going to be whoever lasts the longest. And somebody in the group who loves playing Call of Cthulhu is like, cool, we get to die over and over again, right? As a matter of fact, and I did an I played an introductory game where this very thing happened. Distress call goes out. Call sounds familiar. We are already sleeved up. We go and travel over. We end up having to travel over in a small pod over to the derelict space station. We go into the space station. We are murdered, killed the hell out of it. We go back to the epilogue where we are on our ship. We get a distress signal. It sounds familiar. We sleeve ourselves. We go into the ship and the whole thing. And when we got killed, we saw ourselves dead, strung up with our like organs spread everywhere, heads ripped off, and all kinds of nasty things were done to us. And then we turn around and the nasty things that were ripping us rip into us. But of course, we can't describe it because we were dead. Because a distress signal. One of us got a distress signal off that goes back to the ship where we were at, where we download ourselves, make copies to go over to the derelict ship to do the thing all over again, over and over. Now, the build as you go. Lastly, the build as you go incorporates all the other things that we talked about in the sense of adding different elements into the game in which, like, hey, I know we're doing a lot of run and gun, but I think it would be kind of cool if, like, maybe one of my old mercenary buddies lets me know that something happened to us while we were, going through our training. And the game master's like, well, you didn't put that in your backstory, but this might be kind of cool. There are two things there. I believe there is a television show called, it's Continuum, not Continuity. And then in Eclipse phase, there is something called continuity or disruption of continuity, in which sanity loss happens when the human brain cannot make sense of the disruptions in the continuity of consciousness. So having significant memory loss, having where there is a term in Eclipse phase where your fork is reconstituted with the main personality. And so, for example, you can have Ivor. Hey, what's going on there? Over there on Twitch. You can have this combination of, I don't remember making a fork of myself now that I'm here on Mars. I don't remember sending a fork over the Jupiter to go on a mission to come back. But now all of a sudden I'm getting these memories flooding in when my fork decides to ego cast back in to my stack, where I then get re-upped. You know what I mean? Oh, Vince says there is also Continuum, the RPG, but it is true time travel. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, and yes, Deadman says continuity is a one-shot adventure in Eclipse phase. Yeah, exactly. And again, there's so many different ways to play with this, whether it's like, I believe there's one called Ego Hunter, where the player characters they hunt egos, meaning like cortical stacks, memories of other people. And I don't remember reading it, but I heard about all the player characters have different backstories, but you come to find out that each player character is a fragment of one individual whose backstory is all of the player characters, and then that person is hunting down the player characters one by one because they're all forks. They're all like fragments of the main personality, which is another way of playing the game where each player comes to the table with their own player character, their own backstory, and then the caveat is, guess what? Now we have to figure out how all the backstories blend together as one individual, which would be kind of fun. I could imagine this being done with an Eclipse phase with the ultimates. One individual could be an ultimate who's trying to reach mental and physical perfection by making copies of themselves and then hunting them down, knowing that maybe one of those copies will then turn the tides and kill the main personality. And maybe this has been done over and over again, where this person is constantly hunting themselves and killing themselves to give themselves ever greater skills of perfection. Maybe they're hunting their own forks down, torturing them, hoping that the fork then learns some extra skills to then become the main personality with a message that says, hey, guess what? This is all a game. This whole purpose is to make you bigger and better and stronger, and then the cycle may continue as well. Heck, the player character themselves may try to kill themselves to stop the cycle in the first place, even though they're the ones that came up with it, but they don't remember having done it. Ivor says amnesia equals a gift to master from lazy butt. I guess you mean a gift to the game master from a lazy butt? Yeah. Listen, I made my character. I don't have a backstory. You make it up. I'm done. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Not well. You know what? If you play with a game master who loves making up backstories and you don't feel like it, play Eclipse Phase or Altered Carbon. It's a perfect game for you. Oh, cool. Yeah. Thank you very much, Vincent. Very cool deck building RPG. I love the concept of doing that. So anyway, guys, wrote some notes down. First time I really did a video with like notes written down. Maybe I might, I don't know, if it takes me more than 5 minutes, maybe I won't do it anymore. So I can't promise it, but yeah. Ivor says I got an idea for a character for our global campaign. Undead Revenant, who previously were my characters from one of previous modules. Yeah, people who like characters who are like part of like a cloning creche or split personalities or you know, soldiers left on ice that are woken up one after another when one goes on a mission and dies, and now you have to figure out why one of your own copies has died. I mean, these are things that you can really play with in and around. Now, I didn't want to give too many details about, say, the second season of Altered Carbon, but they mess with personalities and takeovers and what they call where you make a copy of your cortical stack. It's very highly illegal. As a matter of fact, there's a death sentence for people who make multiple copies of their cortical stacks, and of course there's people who do it and get away with it. So there's that idea as well. So guys, thank you very much for joining me here on Future Friday and further Future Friday episodes. I want to thank you very much for just allowing me to be a part of your day, and it's just kind of awesome to have a community around there. For those who are brand new, again, if you want to support the channel, please needlecast over to Twitch, spin up to YouTube, resleeve over to Discord, join me on all 3 platforms, and show your appreciation that way. I would love to become an affiliate on Twitch. I don't normally like to call for too many calls to action, but in order for me to become an affiliate over in Twitch, I need at least 50 followers, and then in that way I can then make the show even better for you and offer you even more. So guys, thank you very much. Stay tuned for next Future Friday, and by the way, the show is live Monday through Friday for 1 hour here, 6 a.m. EDT EST. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a great weekend. See you later. Bye. Head's still here.